I write so many songs that I don't even think about those songs anymore. I don't get attached to it, because if I did, I couldn't move on and there'd be no space for a new song. A quote from Prince, published in a 2015 article from The Guardian. It said that the prolific purple-clad performer penned at least one song a day, every day. One can imagine it'd be easy to lose track of them all, especially if they never make it past the demo stage. This was almost the case for a song Prince wrote in 1984 in his rehearsal space in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. The lyrics were written in an hour. The song was recorded immediately after, and that was the last time the Prince version of today's song was heard, until the recording was released in 2018, 2 years after his passing. However, the song did see a commercial release with one of the bands under Prince's label, The Family. The Family was a band made up of the remaining members of The Time, Prince's side project band, which had split up in 1985 due primarily to the difficulties of working with Prince. The song featured on The Family's first album and promptly went nowhere. Well, almost nowhere. We know for sure that Fuck No Kelly heard it. You know, Fuck No Kelly, the manager for Irish singer Sinead O'Connor in the 1990s. O'Connor recorded the song for her second studio album, I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got. Before release, the recording was provided to Chris Hill, co-director of Ensign, the record label O'Connor was signed to. Quote, Fuck No Kelly, Sinead's manager, brought in a cassette, and when I heard it, I actually started crying. I just sat there with tears in my eyes. Then O'Kelly rang up Sinead O'Connor and went, Chris is crying. Was it that bad? Sinead asked, recalls Hill. It was not that bad. Released as the second single for the album, the track hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, topped the charts in several other countries, and was named the number 1 world single of 1990 by Billboard, and earned O'Connor a Grammy for Best Alternative Performance, although she refused to claim the award or even attend the ceremony. But how did Prince feel about all this? Publicly, he praised the interpretation. Quote, I love it. It's great. I look for cosmic meaning in everything. I think we just took that song as far as we could. Then somebody else was supposed to come along and pick it up, said Prince. According to Prince's sound engineer Susan Rogers, Prince didn't like anyone recording his songs unless he specifically asked them to. The eccentric pop musician made that known to O'Connor when he invited her to his home, where he berated her for swearing in interviews, assaulted her with a hard object hidden inside of a pillowcase, and chased her in a car when she fled his home. So today, we celebrate the resiliency of Sinead O'Connor, who fought against the violence of the popular music industrial machine and, Prince. That's right, we're talking Nothing Compares to You, made famous by Sinead O'Connor on Cover Me.
Nothing compares, no, nothing compares to you. Nothing.
That's right, it's Cover Me, the only podcast that compares famous songs. There are many cover versions to find out which one compares to you. I'm your host, as always, The Snake, joined by my fancy co-host,
Alex Mildenberger.
Oh, Alex Mildenberger,
So
how are you? So fancy. You doing good, bro?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I think we're both sort of getting used to regular life after a couple weeks off.
I know, dog. I'm on Italy time.
Yeah, Central European time, which actually I don't think Italy is on. They're on something else.
They're on Italy time, baby.
Baby, island time.
Island time. Peninsula
time. Yeah.
As we learned in our many tours we took there, Italy is part of Africa, tectonically speaking.
Yeah,
so.
Or like half. Like, because there's
Yeah.
mountain range right in the middle. So like the Eurasian plate and the African plate, whatever,
Kissing.
are colliding kissing right in the middle of
That's how you get little baby Italy.
That's how you get little baby Italy, when an African plate and a Eurasian plate love each other very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They make a mountain range. And then they
And
make
a
a
boot.
pizza. And a boot. That's right.
And then pizza. Hey.
You know, a Canadian saw Italy on a map. He said, "What's all this? A boot?"
But yes, going back to normal and going back to normal recordings as well.
Yeah, so we're back. We're back in beautiful Canada.
Western Canada.
The blockbuster summer is over, which now, of course, means it's time for our unofficial theme month of Dead Timber.
Catch up on all the people who passed away over the last couple months, including Sinead O'Connor in this.
Sinead O'Connor.
In this case.
Yeah, who passed at 56 of unknown causes.
Yeah. Pretty young.
Pretty suspicious. Also pretty young.
It was Prince.
Yeah, I think the Prince estate still has it out for her.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong here. Other news to catch up on.
Allegedly.
Listen, I can't say anything for sure.
But we can't allege it, apparently.
I can't. I'm alleging it because holy shit, that Prince story. It was like a blip on the like facts on this song, and then I was like, okay, that might be like Prince assaulted her. I was like, Prince is a little guy. He's like fucking 5'3" or something. Like, I don't think he can hurt anyone. And then I read the story. It's like, oh no, he planned this. Like he was trying to murder Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah, he was an odd dude for a number of reasons, but it sounds like he was sometimes a little bit violent.
A little bit. He did love conflict because even just shit that didn't involve him at all, like it was Timberlake's fucking Sexy back, right? And then he's just like calls the press to be like, Sexy never left, and it's like you could have said nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a dink. But hey, Sinead O'Connor, super cool, is what I learned this week.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
I don't have a lot of like facts and trivia about Sinead
Here's facts
O'Connor.
and trivia. She's well known for a shaved head look.
Yep.
Which she enacted because like a music producer was like, you gotta be more feminine, Sinead. We gotta get you wearing little skirts and dressing up with lots of makeup. She said, fuck you, and then shaved her head and then just stuck with that. She didn't attend the Grammys when she won this Grammy Award for Best Alternative Performance because she believed she was being celebrated for her commercial sales and not her artistic merit.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think is a fair point. And then she's famous or infamous perhaps for tearing up a photo of the Pope on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, that's the like one thing I know about her. I know the Pope thing, and then I know that this song is always on lists of like the best covers of all time.
Of all time, and I tend to agree with that. I think this cover rips.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That was a very like I don't like this cover. Okay.
Well, we haven't. We'll talk about the song when we.
I guess we will, Alex. My next question is going to be: do you like this song?
Like the song? Yeah,
and
I like
your
the
answer is
song.
you like it when Prince is singing.
Like it when Prince is singing. I mean, it's got to be a little guy, right? If it's a little guy doing it,
If it's a little violent man.
Yeah. No, I do like this song.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
But I hadn't heard it before this week.
Really?
Because, I don't know, yeah, like it's always on lists of the greatest covers of all time, and I'm like, I guess I'll probably listen to it one day, but then I don't.
All right. Well,
Until now.
Now we're gonna get right into the meat of things here, but first a little update for everyone, because I've known this, and you've known this, so you probably forgot, but...
You told me.
Yes. We've been at war with Spotify.
Yeah.
For a while here now. They banned my account.
They haven't even noticed that we're at war with them, but we've been there.
We've been there. But here's the thing, is they gave me the account back, baby.
It's back?
They said, we want you back. They said, we found out there was no infringement. And I said, you're goddamn right. And am I coming back to Spotify? I know you're all fucking, you're on the edge of your seats here. You're like, please, get this man back on Spotify. I said, fuck no. Fuck Spotify. We're still at war. Fuck those guys. Use a better podcasting app. Spotify, contact me when you got fucking hi-fi audio. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
Contact me when you're more about the music and less about the fucking little TikTok videos, okay? Spotify.
Do they do those?
Yeah, they're like, when you go to the main page on Spotify, it shows you like little fucking...
little videos.
Yeah, they do little videos.
Everyone's got to do little videos now.
Everybody's got to have their little... Not Tidal, though, baby. Tidal just wants you to listen to Jay-Z, and you know what? I'll do it.
Little video? No, thank you. Little guy? Okay.
Little guy? Yeah.
Now we're talking.
What, Prince? Yeah, all right. I should ask you that. You a big Prince fan in general, Alex?
I like some Prince songs. I don't. Okay. I mean, I say that. I get into some Purple Rain. We covered Raspberry Beret a little while ago.
One of the best songs about barn fucking.
One of the best songs about barn fucking. I like Prince. I don't know a ton of Prince, I'll admit, but he's got some good hits.
Yeah, I know Raspberry Beret. I know Purple Rain more by name than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And like 1999, also more by name, and Bat Dance.
Bat Dance, yeah. And like the rest of that soundtrack?
Yeah.
Did he do more? I don't know it.
He did. He did a whole bunch for that. Yeah, he did the soundtrack.
Or at least a bunch of it.
Yeah, but he also wrote this song in an hour. and then was willing to fight to the death for it. So
Right, because like you said, he's writing songs constantly, and that's one of the things he's famous for is writing a ton of not just writing songs but recording demos.
Yeah.
Or recording songs to some level of completion and then just putting it in his vault. I think possibly even a literal vault, but I
was it the Disney vault? Do they share the space?
Yeah. Well, it's Mickey Mouse shaped, but
there's VHS copies of Bambi in there, and then there's
it's all of Disney's porn. It's Bambi, and then it's Prince songs.
Yeah, that's a good use of space. It's a pretty good vault. I think they're doing the next Indiana Jones about that.
The Disney vault. The vault of Disney.
The Indiana Jones's grandkid wants to see fucking Bambi, and he's like, all right.
He's like, all right, but there is Indiana Jones pornography in there.
Yeah, because now he's Disney property, so he's like, I gotta make sure to clear out my pornography from there.
Yeah, I mean, you have to lose something before you can gain something, you know?
That's right.
That's storytelling.
And speaking of losing something, losing a loved one in not a death sense, which is what that phrase brings to mind, but in a parting sense. It's what this song is about. And now we're looking at the Sinead O'Connor lyrics here. At least that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, they're pretty similar.
Pretty similar,
Not
except
exactly the
right
same.
here in the first line, the number of days is different.
Yeah, which is, I think 15 sounds better.
I agree.
Don't know why exactly, but it just rolls off the tongue a little easier.
Mm-hmm. 15, 13. Yeah, I like 15 better.
Yeah, I don't know.
So the line is, it's been 7 hours and 15 days since you took your love away. Let's talk about that. So it's a pretty solid intro.
Yeah, it sort of rolls it out slowly, but also kind of backwards, right?
Yes.
Like typically you start chorus and then go fine. But it's sort of like some 7 hours. Oh, but it's actually also been like over 2 weeks.
Yeah, so it lets you know like the specificity of the hurt that this person's counting it to the hours.
Yeah, and
it
after
also
that
sets
much
you
time.
up. Yeah, and you're like, okay, it's been 7 hours. You're like, since what? Since breakfast? Since like this could be very minor. And it's like in 15 days, you're like, okay, this is somebody's fixating on something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And since you took your love away, this person is left.
Yeah, they left. I think that's an important part of the story is that dynamic. Right?
Yeah.
They left this person.
This is theoretically a breakup, although some people speculate that this song was inspired by Prince's housekeeper, Sandy Scipione or Scipione.
I didn't see it. I didn't see the name spelled.
It's Scipioni, so I'm imagining it's Italian.
Okay.
So your CI is technically a chi, but SCI might just be a sk. So I think it's Scipione. Who left him to be... So she left him after her father suddenly died. She goes to be with her family. And so it's possible that he wrote this about her.
That's weird.
It is weird.
I feel he seems like the kind of guy who took a lot of things very personally. That were not necessarily that.
Yeah, that he should maybe just calm down about.
Yeah.
But to hear Susan Rogers, his recording engineer, tell it, she says, Sandy was the person who made sure he had his favorite beverage, which was Five Alive. And she made sure the house was clean and that there were fresh flowers on the piano and that the socks and underwear were washed. That might have been the inspiration.
Wow. Five Alive. I wonder what flavor.
I wonder. It's classic, probably.
Citrus.
Snow
crop. What? I'm sorry.
Snow crop?
I haven't had Five Alive in a while. So I had to Google it to remind me that it's just juice. It's fucking juice, man.
Yeah, it's called Five Alive because it's like Minute Maid juice. I don't know, he's a Minnesotan guy at heart, you know? He just likes a bit of juice.
I guess. Yeah.
But that's maybe your inspiration here. And there is some looseness in the lyrics where it can be like a more platonic love or even rather than a romantic love, but it is like a strong love regardless.
Yeah, in that case, it almost sounds like somewhat maternal, but Prince was a little weird. So, who knows?
And that's something that like Sinead O'Connor even draws on in her version. Though I wonder if it was intentional or not. It's quite strange, but the verse continues. I go out every night and sleep all day since you took your love away. Since you've been gone, I can do whatever I want. I can see whomever I choose. I can eat my dinner in a fancy restaurant, but nothing can take away these blues.
Take away these blues. Yeah, he's basically like listing things, or they're basically like listing things. that it would potentially like they're describing themselves as being like free now, essentially.
Yes.
Which is kind of a concept that comes up when talking about relationships ending. Like, you're single, you're free now. And the book
free,
doesn't
yeah.
matter, you know. So it's not like
Exactly. You're
that
no longer
unusual.
bound to this person, but
Yeah.
you were quite happy to be there. So
Mm-hmm.
they sleep all day. That's kind of a depressive thing. They go out all night. They're looking for, they're looking for something. Night's the time for lovers. You go out looking for love.
Yeah, I've heard that the night belongs to lovers.
That's right, Alex. Bruce Springsteen told us that. Patti Smith told us that.
In person, right? We saw that?
He did play it live, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. It's hard to remember these things. But I'm pretty sure he did.
It was weird, though, because I think he actually said because the night belongs to Glover.
To Glover, yeah.
He was holding up an N64 cartridge. I couldn't quite see it.
It was definitely smelling gray.
Yeah.
That was, very strange. And
But
then,
I respect the artistry.
And then at the end, when he said, God bless all the Smash Bros. Players in the city, that was a weird concert. I don't know if there's a tournament going on at the same time.
My Smash brothers and sisters.
Smash brothers and sisters, yeah. Yeah, it was very, weird.
Quite bizarre. But yeah, I feel like going out at night, you're looking for something, right?
Yeah, generally like you said, time for lovers, and like Bruce said as well. Yeah.
For Glover's Smash Brothers,
for Smash
sisters,
and sisters.
And yeah, it's also a time to eat dinner in a fancy restaurant.
At a fancy restaurant, which I mean, I feel like I don't know why you couldn't do that with the other person, because I feel like that's the sort of thing, exactly the sort of thing you would do, but also it costs twice as much at least.
That's true. And
but also he's Prince.
If this is his housekeeper, who presumably also makes him dinner.
Oh, yeah, true.
Also, again, this like motherly love is a role where it's like we have food at home.
Yeah, she's like, I could eat dinner at a fancy restaurant instead of you making my food or whatever, or maybe us making food together, whatever.
Together, yeah, could be.
But it's not the same. Like, as fancy as it is, it's not the same because it doesn't come from that place of love.
And yeah, exactly. And nothing can take away these blues, so nothing fills the hole. And why is that? Because nothing compares. Nothing compares to
a nice quick little I mean, a refrain line almost.
Yeah, it's more credited as a chorus
than a chorus.
Here, yeah. And yeah, what a killer line that is. But we come to verse 2. It's been so lonely without you here, like a bird without a song. Easy. Things are unnatural and lonely, isolating.
Yeah. I mean, a thing that always has this particular thing, or almost always, it's gone.
It's gone.
It's just cut off.
Yeah, it's unusual.
Strange life.
And haunting. Nothing can stop these lonely tears from falling. Tell me, baby, where did I go wrong? I could put my arms around every boy I see, but they'd only remind me of you. Of course, I think that's girl I'd see in the Prince version. It could be, yeah. And let's talk about that part. So nothing can stop these lonely tears. He's lonely and he's crying because of that.
Yeah.
And it's a confused hurt because they don't know where they went wrong. The narrator.
Yeah, another thing that comes up sometimes in songs, breakup songs.
Yeah.
Like what happened? I don't understand. I'm reaching.
Yeah, tell me, baby, I'll change. Like.
Yeah.
You feel like you're at fault when maybe some relationships just end.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes somebody's father dies and they have to leave to go be with their family.
Yeah, maybe they're like just going somewhere else.
Yeah,
like call her, Prince. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You surely you have her number. Your employer, like you must have contact info.
Yeah. I don't know. And then kind of mirroring the previous statement of going out every night. Putting their arms around every boy, or in the original girl I see.
It's
pursuing some kind of romantic relationships, but to less effect.
But yeah, to no avail, because it doesn't fill the actual.
Because I mean, in that case, it's more explicitly romantic. I mean, we talked about
absolutely.
The more
I don't think you put your arms around
version,
your housekeeper all that often.
Generally, that sort of a phrasing would be romantic.
Yeah. And then, so yeah, he's like, I can't. Again, yeah, you're right. It's like a repetition. Again, like the thesis statement is the title of the song. Nothing compares to you.
Yeah.
Here is a thing I could do. It does not compare to you. I am crying because nothing compares to you. Birds can't sing because nothing compares to you. It's all all goes down my line. And then, of course, here we get probably the best part of the song. I went to the doctor and guess what he told me? Guess what he told me? He said, girl, you better try to have fun no matter what you do. But he's a fool.
He's a fool. Because you can't have fun.
Yeah. And this is like
We've
the doctor,
established that.
the ultimate representation of logic is like, listen, dog, just fucking get over it.
Yeah.
And
From this like
Sinead's
PhD
no.
who's like, I'm
Yeah.
educated. I know the right thing to do. And the
To
right
do.
thing to do is just fucking get over it, bro.
Yeah. And then the narrator's like, that dude doesn't know shit because this is a matter of the heart, baby. This is emotion. And obviously, he's never hung out with you. Had you make him a sandwich? I don't know. Loved you? Because nothing compares to you.
Yeah.
The doctor doesn't know shit. That's the summary on that.
Yeah. Don't listen to doctors. Doctors are fools. That is the upshot of this song.
That's exactly right. They use
So
this
we're
a lot in
learning
the
here.
anti-vax campaigns.
Yeah.
All the flowers that you planted, Mama, in the backyard, all died when you went away. I know that living with you, baby, was sometimes hard, but I'm willing to give it another try.
Yeah, there's interesting couple. I mean, first half is very much like a downer take on it, right? I mean, obviously it's a depressed, so like person in the song is depressed about this.
Yeah.
But like all the flowers died when you left away, which, you know, can be interpreted a couple ways. The color's gone from their life, the beauty is gone from their life, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And also like this relationship that was cultivated is dead.
Yes.
Which is a strong image, but also like not necessarily how that would work.
Yeah, I guess. But
Like
there was
the idea
also
that everything's
like,
dead and like completely unrecoverable is like, well, extreme.
yeah,
but it's an
and then
extreme position to take.
for sure. But then there's also the literal version of this where she literally planted flowers in the backyard. And after her leaving, I mean, it's been 7 hours and 15
Oh,
days.
true.
I
They
don't
died because no one's taking care of
They
them.
literally died. Like, this person sleeps all day and goes out at night. They're not watering the plants.
Yeah.
And so this beautiful part of their life, both metaphorically and literally, has withered without their presence.
Yeah, because this person, and then it's because the person's not willing to do the work themselves and take care of themselves and take care of these things. So I
makes
think
the
that's
next
part
line
of it
very
as well,
funny,
right?
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because the line is, I know that living with you, baby, was sometimes hard,
Yeah.
but I'm willing to give it another try.
Which, I mean, as I kind of put a bookmark in that early line of you took your love away.
Yeah.
They left this person, but now they're saying, "Oh, I'm willing to give it another shot." It's like, well, you don't really get to decide that.
Yeah, it's like you were, yeah. And then verse 2, you're like, what did I do wrong? And it's like, well, maybe take a look at this bridge verse here and understand that you're
Yeah,
maybe a little
maybe
up your own ass.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it all fits into the song. So, like, it's the person presented in the song. I think it's pretty effective.
Yeah, and so like that's the Prince version we're talking about here. This is, I guess, important to talk because Mama in this context is the same way it was used in the Led Zeppelin song we talked about, Black Dog.
Hey, hey, mama.
Hey, Mama. It's lady. It just really means lady. But for Sinead O'Connor, the line Mama becomes very literal for her. Because when she performs it
Mhm.
in the music video, she actually cries at this part. And she talks about an interview, and she's like, well, I was thinking about my mother at that time. Her mother was very abusive, like locked her in her room for a whole weekend without food, amongst other horrendous things to do to your own child. And so then that line, I know that living with you, baby, was sometimes hard, but I'm willing to give it another try, is so much more impactful coming from Sinead O'Connor, because it's like, I know you were awful, but you're also my mother. And like, I'm willing to try
looking at
that
it
again.
way is very different.
Yeah, very different, right? So, and it's such a strange line because then you have to look at the rest of it with that in mind, and it's like, is Sinead singing to her mom this whole time? Or is this like an aside in her fucking cry for this lost lover where she's talking about just her childhood and how that has maybe in some way set her up for failure or like set her up for some emotional damage? Like it's... And I think it's impossible to say. I'm just fucking
Right, it's kind of
spitballing here.
it's like the previous verse is like where did I go wrong? It's like, well, maybe all the way back,
all the way back there. And then the flowers that you planted, Mama, are not like literal flowers like Prince's housekeeper, but like the lessons she learned from her mother.
Yeah, that were somehow rotten or something.
Yeah, they all died. Like maybe there was value in there, but it is all.
But
rotted.
it got killed by the abuse or something, and then she ignored the positive things she could have learned, or something like that,
or something like
wasn't
that.
taught anything positive, or I don't know.
Yeah, or just that, like, and it's brought up in like a BoJack Horseman episode, that one where he's doing the monologue for the whole episode, where he talks about how he's like, you know, the one of the reasons I kept talking to my parents and like kept it up is because I hoped that things might change one day. He's like, what's like when a show gets canceled that you don't really like, but you thought it could be good. It's so she's maybe talking here about how she's like, well, I know my mother was bad, but like now she's dead, and it can never be good.
Right. Now it's definitely fate is sealed.
Yeah, so it takes on a heavier context with Sinead O'Connor, and this is another thing I think I like about her from what I've learned this week, is that she is like a real artist for art's sake. We talk a lot about popular music on here, and then she's like a weird art kid. She's kind of like in the same lines as like Kate Bush in a way.
Sure.
Where she's just like, I'm making art, and she talks about her like singing performance on this and how she needs to like dive into this emotion, like find, similar to like a stage actor or even like a film actor, she's like, I need to find that emotional core in order to deliver this song. And she, I think from 2015 to 2019, straight up told people, she's like, I will not be performing Nothing Compares to You live anymore because I cannot find that. She's like, I can no longer tap into that emotion to give you the performance it demands.
Yeah, and fair enough. I know, like, well, I guess the story that reminds me of is actually from the Tragically Hip. Gord Downey, there's a song where they like didn't do too often because Gord Downey said like basically didn't want it to become normal and like rote.
Right.
So interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Similar lines. If I was to pick out a Canadian artist who is also popular, but definitely an artist, Gord Downey does come to mind. He's very, it's quite unique, I think.
Yeah. Also passed away young.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those coming up today.
A lot of those. Hot damn. But those are the lyrics. So it is this, like it's this very like sad, like you left me ballad.
Yeah.
Whoever that person is, they've left, and now the world is a little less bright because of it.
Yeah, it's very sad. I mean, the title doesn't pretend like it's not going to be sad, I guess.
Yeah, except for fucking Prince's insistence on like talking like an early internet user.
But in the 80s, though.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, early on, but definitely, yeah, like, we didn't mention it, but it's spelled with the number 2 and the letter U.
Yeah.
I'm surprised none of the covers have changed that. Well, I'm not that surprised, but I feel like maybe someone would spell the whole thing out, but it'd also be weird because it's not.
It would also be weird, and it lets you know that it is that song, because I'm sure somebody else has a song called "Nothing Compares to You," but not. And this isn't even the only song Prince does that on. Let's see if I took a note.
He does it all the time.
Does it all the fucking time.
He does it more as his career goes on, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big thing, big Prince thing.
Big Prince thing. So let's talk about the Big Prince demo. That features Prince on lead and backing vocals, the Yamaha DX7 electric guitar, bass guitar, and drums. Eric Leeds on saxophone, Susanna Melvoin on backing vocals, and Claire Fisher on orchestral arrangements. Which sound pretty synthy. Yeah, they're pretty synthy on this. It's a very synthy track. We open with like the most like... Dun, 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 dun,
yeah, it
dun,
reminds
dun,
me of
dun.
I'm the Walrus.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Before that bit.
It's also like the most like classic shorthand for like sad sap song. It's just like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, because it's just, I don't know what that interval is, but it's a minor one, I think.
But it is like, you're like, oh, this song's a bummer. I know that right off the bat.
Yeah. There's a few other things in there too. There's some like guitar stings, right?
Boom, boom,
as the drums kind of go. Ta,
Oh yeah, boom, boom. So yeah, there is like an element of theater to this version, or like cinema score or something. He is like hot off the Batman soundtrack, and then also, well, actually, he's hot off the Batman soundtrack when the Sinead O'Connor version comes out. 1984, he's just Prince. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, that's much earlier in the career.
Yeah.
The other thing it makes me think of is like a clock ticking.
Yeah.
Boom. And we're talking about time right off the bat. So I thought
You're right. Yeah, check
interesting.
that out. That
Yeah.
is an interesting move. Yeah, those drums are boom, tap, tick, tock. Yeah. And the kind of big like hook of this song is the backing vocals after like a certain amount of phrase. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the little like kind of hook, I guess.
Yeah, it reminds me a bit of like Rock and Roll Suicide or something in that like David Bowie ballad vein, where you get these kind of like hippy dippy kind of creepy vocals.
Ha ha ha.
Ha ha ha.
I mean, I'm thinking of the Flight of the Conchords Bowie song, actually.
Yeah.
Ha hoo. Where they do,
100%. It's in that vein.
Obviously, as a tribute to David Bowie. So
Yes.
orbiting Pluto. Anyway, won't get too much into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we get into the verse. Instrumentation doesn't change a whole lot. It says 13
No.
days, as we mentioned, not 15.
Yep.
Sounds a little awkward, but like I didn't really notice it because my brain was like, obviously it's 15. 'cause it
Obviously,
sounds-
yeah, I was like, there's no way he's going to change something as simple as the number of days.
But I mean, the first one that has that change is the Sinead O'Connor version.
Yeah.
I don't know if she made the change first, but she might have.
Yeah.
Um, Oh, the other thing is it's still doing the bum 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 bum, but we're changing around to different chords now.
yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, there's things are building. You know, there's more drums, more guitar, there's more backup vocals on the oh ho ho ho. They also sort of break up the song, the vocal oh ho ho's.
Yeah.
Because like we'll hit that, and then it'll kind of get to the next section. It'll build a bit. You know, more guitar, more synth, whatever.
Yeah, it is like this like crashing of an engine or something. Like it's
Yeah.
bum 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 bum, lands you back down at the bottom, and then you have
Yeah.
to build up again.
And then yeah, exactly. So that's kind of how this version takes it, which is actually not really how the other ones do because this version wasn't released till like 2018.
Yeah, exactly. You'll
Or
see
something.
kind of some part, like the O is present pretty much in the first three versions here in
Yeah.
different ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of this other stuff, not quite. As we move into verse 2,
Well, I mean the chorus. We didn't even talk about the chorus.
yeah, it's
Kind of calms down a bit. As like everything, it's like a coalescing thing, where everything was doing different things before, and now it's all supporting the melody.
right, yeah, and it's clearing space for Prince to fucking
Yeah.
belt a little. Nothing compares to you.
And yeah, everything's kind of doubling the vocals or
Yeah,
supporting the vocals in some way.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's that moment of like clarity in this this dystopic
Yeah.
mindset.
Yeah, I guess so.
Where he's like, nothing compares to you. That's the golden thing.
That's the point of the song.
Yeah. And then we get harmonies on verse 2.
Yes. There's quite a few change ups in verse 2, actually.
Yeah.
Because yes, there's like more harmonies in there. As sort of we go back to that verse instrumentation with the intervals, but only plays for a bit.
Right.
There's also okay. Do you hear? There's a line. I'm lonely without. It's been so lonely without you here. That's the first line.
Right.
Is there a sound effect after that of like a frog croaking or something? Like
Hang on.
like
let
it's
me-
almost a cricket chirp, but I don't think it's a cricket chirp. My time 141.
Oh, yeah, like kind of. Yeah, I think I just heard it. Give me another second here. Give me another run at it. Yeah, it's like it is almost like a croak. I wonder if it's like a low string, like slide, and like somebody just like moving their fingers on a bass, or like just regular guitar.
Maybe. It just made me think of like, I guess it's kind of a joke. I don't know, when it's like no one is there, so you play like random nature sounds.
Oh,
so it's
yeah.
like crickets or
because he's in
mostly
the bayou,
crickets.
it's a
Usually
frog,
crickets, but for some reason I'm like, yeah, you're in a bog or whatever.
Right, yeah, it's so lonely. He's out in the bog, and there's just a
It's like,
frog going.
like middle of the night, just like no one there but the frogs.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was there intentionally or if that's even there at all, but that's what I'm hearing.
No, I think it might be demo, like just, roughness.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think he's drawing on the classic image of a frog croaking.
Of a frog croaking when you're alone.
Yeah.
Like in The Princess and the Frog. I don't know.
Yeah, come on.
That classic movie that was totally out in 1984.
Well, yeah. He had access to the Disney Vault, Alex. He kind of had,
Right.
he
Fuck,
knew a lot
I
of this
forgot.
newer stuff.
Oh, man. Yes. You mentioned the backup vocals. They
Yes.
sing every other line.
Yeah.
Where it's the structure kind of makes it so it's like, well, it's not really. Some of them are like, I could do this thing, but it's not going to work. I could do this thing.
Yeah.
But that really only happens once. I thought it happened more. But it does seem to be like statement and then like, it's been so lonely that you're here. Something about that. Nothing stopped these lonely tears from falling. Kind of. I don't know.
Right. Well,
I'm trying to make statements about the structure, and I'm not convinced they're true. I thought they were true yesterday, though.
There's something about how it lets him boost the energy and then gives him the space to like hit that second line, right?
Yeah, as like a
Nothing
introduce
can
idea
stop
and then
these
resolution.
lonely tears from falling.
It
And
is,
then
yeah, it's very
clears.
strong downbeat.
Yeah.
More so even on the doctor bit.
Yeah, it really sets you up for that, which fucking hits that downbeat. I went to the doctor, guess what he told me?
Guess what? That bit is even, I would say, almost a pre-chorus. Like, it feels so different.
Yeah, and it really is lining you up. It's building that energy up for Nothing Compares to You. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just such a strong downbeat. There's also more guitar there, so you start to get these like guitar runs and stuff in.
Yeah, a little bit
Prince,
of like
big
wailing
guitar
too.
player.
Yeah, Prince, pretty legendary guitar player.
Some like bluesy riff kind of things.
Yeah. And then like the next big moment is the sax solo.
Yeah, we go through another chorus and then into the solo, which I mean, I always love sax solo.
Yeah.
Mostly a sax solo. Because I feel like the guitar is kind of soloing on its own as well.
Right, it's doing like a support solo.
Yeah. Which is like, does it mean something that they're soloing together but separately? Is that?
Yeah, it's about the distance
statement
between
about-
them, you
yeah.
know? It's like, they're looking under that same sky in the bog. They're just on different sides.
It's on different
frogs are
sides. The
croaking.
frogs are croaking loud, man.
Yeah, but maybe it is meant to put like a little bit of that like solo dissonance where it's like, well, this sax is playing, but this guitar is playing along, but also kind of interfering.
Yeah. So maybe there's something there. I don't know.
It's about the emotional building, maybe, because then he comes in, he kind of cracks on all the flowers that you planted, mama.
Yeah, he's really singing. I mean, Prince is a pretty good singer, so.
Yeah.
So I like the solo.
Yeah, I like the solo. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Like, we talked about how, like, Prince was fucking cranking them out. He was a songwriting and recording machine.
Mhm.
Most demos we talk about on this show are not as polished as this, I think.
No, I have to wonder how much, because this is from the vault, right?
Yes.
How much work was done after the fact? I think all the tracks were taken from the 80s,
Yeah.
or from the original recordings, but.
Well, because, to hear the story told, there's only one recording of this.
Okay.
He comes out the bathroom or wherever the fuck he was writing the lyrics. And he goes, "All right, family, let's get together." Boom, bang, boom. Fucking
It's a recording.
recorded and done.
Okay, so it's not like they're piecing tracks together or anything. It's like this is the thing, and is being put out
and
more or
if
less
you
as is.
If you watched the music video for this demo, it's comprised of rehearsal footage from that day. So it seems like it was all done in that studio space.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're writing that many songs, you got to move fast.
Yeah, you just got to fucking go.
And also do splits, apparently.
In heels, dog.
Yeah.
In heels.
Yeah. We'll get to that. The bridge. Yeah, like you said, cracks a bit when he comes in. The bridge, you called it a bridge verse earlier, and I tend to agree. It feels like just a short verse, because it's not some crazy different section. It feels a lot like a verse, but it's very short.
Yeah. It's slightly different from your standard verse. He's doing some different things, but yeah.
But I mean, it's the beginning's the most different because a bunch of instruments cut out, but then and there's way more backup on this bit. But that's true of the second verse as well, so it kind of feels like the natural build.
Yeah, so we do get that build. The sax comes in a little bit, and still on the chorus, you get that kind of break, like it's just mostly him singing, but on this one, you get a few drum rolls in the mix there. Nothing compares.
I have another question. The Living With You Baby was
sometimes hard.
Fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
What do you hear?
Let me see now.
I think my timestamp is 340.
Some kind of hard?
Or, some kind of hard. It almost sounds like it says art, but it's probably hard, right? That makes more sense.
I know that. Because I know that Living You Baby was some kind of art, but I'm willing to try again. It's like calling something some kind of art makes it sound good.
Yeah. And maybe that was it. Maybe that makes more sense in terms of certainly how Prince approached the song. Like, Living With You was hard, and it's like, well, you're the one who got broken up with, so what are you talking about? You know?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
But it's like Living With You Baby was like this beautiful artistic thing. I don't know. It doesn't totally make sense.
If he's an artist, then he's like, but I'm willing to try it again. It's like, well, sure, you would try it again. You just called it art.
Yeah. Anyway,
I guess that could be a way of
also
calling it
just saying
difficult,
some
too,
kind of
but-
hard makes perfect sense as well versus sometimes hard. Different way of saying.
Yeah, and so whatever it is, some kind of art, some kind of hard, does that, and then we get kind of a big, like, slow walk down. Into
the outro there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then saxophone.
Yeah.
More sax playing. The sax gets pretty rowdy in this bit.
It sure does.
Mixed some sounds, let me tell you. And they just kind of do a couple courses, a bit of ad-libbing from Prince, and that's the outro. That's all I have to say about the
That's
outro.
the outro. Yeah. So it's pretty solid. It's got a bit of like theater to it because there is such like loud instrumentation on this, and like you have this big sax and drum hits. Like it is a bit rowdier than I expected, knowing, coming to this from the Sinead O'Connor version. But I think it still functions. I think it's pretty solid. It sounds like a Prince ballad.
Yeah. I definitely liked this one. I was expecting it to be rougher because I was like, because it's posthumous demo release.
Yeah,
which I would
usually
not
just a
expect.
cash grab.
Yeah, which can be rough, but this one's pretty solid.
Yeah. And so let's talk briefly about the music video here.
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot to say about it. But.
So you see their recording space, and mostly, just about the fucking work these guys do. Not just Prince, who is dancing, but his guitarist and bassist have to synchronize their fucking two-steps and everything with Prince, and still sing, and still play instruments. Like, that's just fucking insane.
Yeah, that's quite a rehearsal space. They're really moving. I guess it's rehearsing for the performance, but he really moves, so.
That dude moves, and like, you're impressed just seeing him move. And then once you actually look and see he's wearing high heels,
yeah.
Fucking hell, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's always cool to see, behind the curtains look at these sorts of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool, but it's also like doesn't have a whole lot to do with this song specifically. It's just
except that that's from the day it was recorded.
Yeah, I guess so. There is that, but it's not like it's synced up with this song in particular.
Yeah, there's no like real moments where it's like, oh, you can tell he's singing it here, or like, oh, this is the sax solo here, or none of that going on.
Yeah,
but an interesting bit of archival footage. Who doesn't have archival footage is the original commercial release, or I guess technically our first cover of the day, depending on how you want to look at it.
Yeah.
The Family.
'Cause nothing compares, nothing compares to you. Nothing.
The Family. You already mentioned who The Family were. They're the sort of leftovers of another band that Prince was involved in.
Yeah.
He did this a couple times where he would sort of form a band and like manage / write songs for them / record stuff for them, but not really be a band member. Like he was a band member, but like it was sort of pushed as a different thing a bit.
Yeah.
There's there's a few groups like this, and I'm a little unclear on what is what, because sometimes they were also like his backing band.
Mm-hmm.
So you have things like the New Power Generation, and even the Revolution that are kind of separate things, but like they're actually Prince's backing band, but they sometimes do their own stuff, but it's just Prince doing that without necessarily putting the Prince name on it. So
yeah, there's some weird
strange
contract stuff that went on. So as I understand it, he had a contract with, I want to say WB, was it Warner Brothers or Universal or something, where he said like, I will release music as Prince, but I am allowed to like have these side projects. Basically, like I can have non-Prince avenues for more of my like other genres of music, things I'm trying to explore and experiment with.
Yeah.
And so then he hires the time, and then he like sometimes they open for him, sometimes they are his backing band. I think they're his backing band on a couple of albums. They were together for 4 years. He was apparently a fucking nightmare to work with, which
yeah, that seems to be pretty consistent.
That seems consistent
claim.
with everything we've learned today.
Yeah.
And so then a couple of the key members leave. One left, Morris Day, I think was his fucking name, because he like was in a fight with the Prince over God knows what. One guy left to pursue a solo career. A couple other left to become some of the greatest producers of the like 80s or 90s or something. And so then the remaining members became The Family, who were part of Prince's label. I don't think they had this one album. I'm not sure if they were on any actual Prince albums.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But they seem to perform with him at least.
Yeah, so they performed with him. Yeah, especially they were on the demo for Nothing Compares to You. Let's see here. It seems like hang on.
There's also like members that would go on to become members of the Revolution.
That's right.
Which I think was after this.
I think you're right, because that's like later, because the Revolution is Raspberry Beret and things of that nature, right?
Yeah, and Purple Rain.
Yeah, and Purple
Rain.
Which
was around this time, actually.
Yeah, so 85, because The Family's very short-lived. They're like a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah. So this is this weird in-between band who has this one shot at making something land. They don't really do it. I think this song it's pretty solid, though.
It's an interestingly different take on it compared to all the other covers. But yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, like synth and symphony is your kind of opening here. You get a bit of string action.
There's no drums on this track.
Yeah.
And it's like synth strings the whole time.
Mm-hmm. And like spacey, like that synth is really like outer space shit.
Yeah, it is. It does have that like sci-fi sound to it, right?
Yeah. Almost like kind of like Alphaville at the time with Forever Young. There's a bit of a link there.
Yeah, and it's not just that. Like it is that, but I feel like there's kind of two. Either the synths are sort of between two places, and that is straight string synth and like space string
and
synth.
Space string. Yeah.
And so they kind of like go between, like on that spectrum. They're somewhere in there, and then they'll bring a new one in, and it's like, well, that's a little bit different, but it's pretty similar.
Yeah. So you get these strings and space filling out the track. And then, of course, the same pattern as the original, where after phrases, we get the
Yeah. I mean, yeah. A little more minimal at the start, because it's all a cappella right at the very beginning.
Yeah.
After some spacey sci-fi synth. It's interesting. My instinct here is to say they're focusing more on the vocals, and I think to a degree that's true.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the vocals aren't as loud as you might expect from a case where that is happening, because it's not like a huge vocal performance or anything. Though he's kind of doing like a Prince. He's emulating Prince in some ways.
Yes. So they recorded the song in 1985 with their singer, St. Paul, brackets Paul Peterson, handling vocals.
St. Paul Peterson.
According to Peterson, he was asked to sing it in the style of Prince.
And he does.
Like, yeah.
I mean, he's not Prince, but it's definitely in the style.
In the style. And I think you're like right in that maybe that direction constrains his vocal performance a bit. Because this is like, as we're going to see with the next version, you can fucking bang this ballad out with quite a bit of emotion.
Yeah.
And we're not hitting that yet with this version.
No.
It's a lot softer.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out like what they're really going for here. And I'm trying to find something to compare it to, you know?
It's kind of, for me, I saw it as the muddled middle point between the Prince demo and the Sinead O'Connor version.
Yeah, it is.
Because you still get a bit of this Prince-ness, a bit of this, like that spacey synth is a bit like, ooh, we're funky, we're spooky, we're creepy. And then you've got this greater emphasis on vocals because a lot of things are pulled back, which is more Sinead O'Connor. But there's too much instrumentation on this to hit that same power Sinead O'Connor. We're not hitting that same vocal performance. And like elements like the how, I think don't play as strongly on this because you don't have the full instrumental like punch to back them throughout this.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't have much. Yeah, in terms of like it doesn't hit very hard when it hits. It almost makes me think of like it's like kind of posh. And like just because of the string sound without percussion makes me think of like court dance or whatever, you know, like that's not even a real term, I don't think, but like
a ballroom
fancy
dance,
people in
like
Victorian times doing a dance or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's what it makes me think of a bit, and because of that, it's a bit detached.
Definitely.
And maybe a bit muted as well.
A bit muted.
But it does still have the saxophone. In fact, the saxophone solo is more or less the same as in the Prince version, but then you don't get that extra guitar.
That's right.
So it's it's interesting as a like historical thing.
Yeah.
But it's so weird to think that this was for years the version.
The
of
version,
song.
yeah.
And like the Prince version still existed at that time. It just was
at that time,
locked
yeah.
away.
If you gave it to me blind and were like, which one of these is the demo, I'd have probably picked this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they're like, they didn't. The drummer wasn't in that tape. They're just
you're like, okay, so they just laid down some tracks.
Yeah. Or something like that. Yeah. So very different from the one that's actually a demo, but still, yeah, kind of feels more like a demo.
Yeah, but maybe they're trying to pick up.
Definitely has a very different feel. I'll give it that.
Like even the sax solo, which you said is like pretty much the same, but without that guitar backing, is like contextually different.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they're trying to go for this kind of dissolved, like, you know, laying in your bed, just fucking nothing matters. Everything's a little detached space. Maybe that's the approach.
Right. There's no bass because you're not grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, interesting. The family didn't go very far after this.
No.
Yeah.
But I think that said, like the sax playing is good. I think this guy can sing. I wonder if again we're just seeing a little bit of like Prince, and I feel like I'm coming at Prince this week, but like maybe it's just like he kind of fucked their launch a bit, where he's like, you got to Prince this up, and they're not Prince, they're the family, right? Like
right. I mean, we talked about how he seems quite controlling, and I think there's an argument probably to be made that that can be stifling.
Yeah. And let's not forget, these guys, like at least like 2 or 3 members of this are on the demo track. Yeah. These guys already did a better version of this song.
Yeah.
So it's kind of also fucked for Prince to be like, you guys are my band. I'm not going to be performing with you. Play my songs.
Yeah, except he did do a lot of the recording. I mean, I think for this version.
Right. I imagine he was in the studio, but he is not on the track.
Personnel... Prince, all instruments except where noted.
Really? Shit.
For this album. So he did a lot of recording for this album.
Did a lot of recording for this.
He didn't do saxophone, on the tracks, string orchestration, rhythm guitar, and track 4. Lead and backing vocals on the listed tracks, or lead vocals in general.
Okay, so that's even weirder then, because who is the family? It's like a weird puppet of Prince.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was saying before. Is like it's so unclear what is a Prince band, what is a band that is Prince's backing band, and what even counts as anything, or why you would release anything under any banner at all.
Any banner at all. Well, there is a quote from that recording engineer again, Susan Rogers, where she says, let's see, She talking about the song. She says, "It's not a pained Help Me Baby track. It's You're Gone and I Miss You, which is probably why he felt comfortable giving the song away to the family. He released his material based on what he wanted us to know about him, and wonderful as it is, he didn't want it to represent him."
Yeah, fair enough. I guess it's part of the image, right? He still wrote the song and cares about it to some degree because he created it, but like he's more brand conscious.
Yeah. And then I think that maybe is also why he's there seems to be a few factors in why he was pissed at Sinead O'Connor. But I can see him being like, well, the demo I wrote, I didn't fucking launch. The family version didn't take off, even though I, had my hands all over it.
Right.
And then some 23-year-old comes in and just fucking bangs it out. Like, I could see him being pissed off about that.
23-year-old. Okay. I'm just trying to say, what's their age difference? 6 years? All right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But I think that's all I really have to say about that version.
Yeah, it's an odd piece. I still don't think it's bad. Like, if it was the only version we had, I think it would be fine, but
yeah.
Times they change, buddy.
I mean, next up,
1990. Yeah. Sinead O'Connor.
This is the big one.
'Cause nothing compares to
I definitely, market improvement over the original version for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Over the family version, 100%. 100%. I wonder, I mean, we talked about, like I said, the two things to know about her, that this is on a lot of lists of the best covers of all time.
Right.
And that she tore up a picture of the Pope on SNL, and that was a big deal, apparently, which is weird because the USA, as I understand, is not even terribly Catholic. It's more like Christian, but not specifically Catholic. But
you got to remember, like, Lorne Michaels is pretty tight about what he lets to be on his show.
Yeah.
And also, she's making there's Irish people in America, and she was making a very strong a statement about the Catholic Church.
Yeah, okay.
And she tricked him. So what she did is every night of rehearsal, she pulled out a photo of a Brazilian child. And I imagine told them that it was like for world hunger or
whatever. Oh, okay.
What have you. And she's like, I just like to hold this picture of a child up because, we should remember that nothing compares to the children or some shit. So she played them for fools. And then on the night of, I imagine they probably even zoom on the picture. I haven't seen the footage. And then it's the Pope and she fucking rips it up. It's, I think it's fucking cool.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that it caused the problem, but yeah. Support it now.
Fuck yeah.
But one of the best covers of all time. The other thing, right?
Yes.
I definitely see where you're coming from. If the only version that exists is the family version, because it's a market improvement on that.
Right. But you think the Prince demo is better?
Better? I don't know if I say better.
That's what your tone's suggesting here, Alex.
I don't know about that. Like I said, I've only heard this song this week, so I don't want to make any huge statements about it.
Okay.
Except for comparing this version to the family version.
Right. But you have to compare it to the Prince demo as well.
I can compare it to the Prince demo as well, but it wasn't made with knowledge.
True. Are you saying it would have been better if it was made with knowledge of the Prince demo?
No, I'm just saying I like them both.
Okay, you're just saying you like them both. I think the Prince demo is pretty good. I think in terms of pulling out the most from the lyrics and in giving an unforgettable vocal performance here. We don't often dive into vocal performances on the show. We feel it's kind of like a tougher thing to talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
This is killer. This is unreal.
I think the effect of this one is definitely in the vocals.
Yes. Well, because
sure.
that's all it gives space for, and that was some of my problems with the Prince demo too. Is like we need to have a little space to let these lyrics hit.
Right,
They're
and
pretty
even
good.
in the family version where there was more space, there wasn't much prominence given to the vocals, and maybe
Yeah, those vocals are
the
toned
argument
right
could also
down.
be made that the vocal performance wasn't as strong, for
Mhm.
sure. But even just the mixing didn't put them front and center.
Didn't help it. And then like just the dynamics on this. So one of my favorite parts is I went to the doctor, guess what he told me, and she goes in the like 2 words from the harshest guess and then down to this soft whisper. What he told me, guess what he told me. And it's like that hits. Not only is that just like cool to move from that to that, it hits on this like hurt lover vibe so strong where you're both like angry and hurt and the saddest motherfucker on the planet.
Okay.
Like it's come on, it's beautiful. But we open with strings, and these are 1990s synth strings. They're a little stronger than what we had in 1985.
Yeah. It is a similar sound to the original at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It does change quite a bit.
Yeah.
Compared to that, but it starts off in a similar place.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say.
That's all you wanted to say. Did I forget to write notes for this one?
Were you too focused on listening to it?
Maybe. I could have sworn it. I can talk about it all day.
Yeah. I mean, it's that intro bit, which is very vocal focused because it's really just some string sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Her, and then sort of some piano chords come in. She also she has like a little voice crack on the "Whatever I Want" line, which I think is technically yodeling.
Yeah, she sounds like a goose.
Yeah, little goose.
Whatever I want.
Little honk.
A little honk.
And then the drums come in, so that's sort of we get this like heavy beat that underlies the rest of the track.
Yeah. And in this first minute, she later brings in an interpretation of that backing vocal lick, but it's not there in your first verse. Because later on she gets this
Yes. Yeah, but it's a little different.
It's a little different, and it plays much better than the taking that riff straight like the family version does. It blends a lot better in this ballad mix, and it makes things, it fills out some space.
You like the way the family did it compared to the Prince version versus the way this did it?
Yeah.
Compared to the Okay.
I think, because the Prince version, the kind of louder backing makes sense.
Yeah,
it's a little more instrumental focused.
Yeah.
A little funkier.
It feels more like a hook.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the family version, it's just still there.
It's just it's a relic of the demo that's just in the mix. Where here, there's actually efforts taken to translate it into a stronger ballad context.
And we're changed up a bit. So, I mean, other than that, the track itself doesn't change very much.
No.
At this point, it's the vocal performance.
Yeah.
That we're focusing on, 100%. Excuse me.
You're excused, Alex.
And she's carrying it here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even drums come in, it's not like the song becomes fucking intense. Yeah. It's mostly carried by her vocals,
or a dance track or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still like a ballad. It's just got that.
Yeah, and your strings get maybe a little fatter as we progress here. Just that opening up as we come into the song more fully.
Right, and then more backups and stuff.
Yeah,
where you get those OOs. There is a solo. There's a string solo later on.
That's right.
Or synth string, whatever. Which kind of keeps it feeling more even throughout, as opposed to randomly introducing a saxophone.
A saxophone,
which would not fit as well in this version.
No, it works on the Prince demo, and it's fine in the family version. But yeah, if this had come in with a ripping sax, it would be very confusing.
Yeah, I think so. There's also some like big string chords once you get to the bridge.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff happening. A lot of sounds, big chords. But it's mostly like the other parts. But of course, except for her singing.
Yeah, it is like it is kind of a climax, the bridge verse. As much as it is also just like more things that relate to the title line, nothing compares to you.
Yeah, but now there's this flowery imagery, which is nice. And then the weird, I know living with you was sometimes hard. And we already discussed how that could be interpreted differently, particularly in the Sinead O'Connor version.
Yeah.
Who apparently changed her name, actually, from Sinead O'Connor, but Sinead O'Connor is so much easier to say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That I'll keep going with that.
So wait, she had a different name, like, when did she change her name?
When she converted to Islam.
Oh, she became Sinead Islam?
She became... see if I can read this. Shuda Sadaq.
Okay, yeah, I'm seeing that here. And it says while continuing to perform and record under her birth
Sinead
name.
O'Connor.
So since we're talking about her predominantly as a performer,
yeah.
I think
No,
I
I'm
think we're okay in
definitely
that,
going
right?
to keep saying Sinead O'Connor.
I'm definitely going to, work with that. She also had other names. I'm just looking at the other names here. Mother Bernadette Mary, Magda DeVille, and of course that one you pronounced so beautifully for us. I will not attempt.
Well, I mean, I looked at the spelling. I was like, that sounds like something that's going to be pronounced differently in Arabic. And there's this nice Arabic writing here that shows how it is spelled in Arabic.
Oh, perfect.
And it contains a vowel that is not present in the English alphabet. So, two technically.
There
no,
you
just
go.
one.
But yeah, that verse is great, and then she kind of just rides out. Like the intro is her just hitting the chorus a bunch.
Might be a
the outro rather.
Hitting the outro, yeah.
Yeah.
We're back in it. We're back.
Yeah, we can't talk about fucking names and fucking linguistics all day, Alex. It's not linguistic me.
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
Soaring. Would you say her performance soars?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fucking great. And I feel like every Nothing Compares to You line has a different read on it, you know? From that acting perspective, sometimes she goes up real high.
Now that's not something that I picked up on.
Well,
but
maybe I'm just being effusive with my praise, but
no. It's
I feel like your lukewarm reaction to this has got my heckles up, and I got to fucking fight for Sinead O'Connor here.
No, I mean, I 100% think that she does. She crushes the performance. I was more focused on the rest of the track, which is less interesting to me, but it's not like it's bad or anything. And she totally crushes it. So.
Yeah, and I think it's not necessarily a responsibility of this backing track to be interesting.
No,
so much
I don't
as it
think
is
so.
to be supportive.
And it does.
And it supports for sure. Now, if you thought the instrumentals were uninteresting, what about this music video, Alex?
Well, the music video is different. I mean, you get to see Paris, so.
Well, you get to see beautiful gay Paris. Yeah, so this is the music video directed by John Maybury, who is one of the 100 most influential gay and lesbian persons in Britain, according to some magazine.
Oh, how about that?
And also did the West End Girls music video for the Pet Shop Boys.
Okay.
So yeah, this is her walking through Parc de Saint Cloud. I refuse to pronounce that in a French way.
Yeah, I couldn't determine if it was supposed to be Cloud or like Clo.
Clo.
Because Google Translate gave me both pronunciations depending on how I wrote it. So
okay,
it's like a Parc de Saint Cloud.
So yeah, so very humorously, he shoots all this fucking footage around Paris on some of her like walking around, some of just these statues and shit out there.
Yeah.
And then he ends up using mostly just a tight shot of Sinead O'Connor singing the song.
Yeah, and like that's the video. I think it's like this. I knew this video, even though I didn't know the song. Like I was familiar with this shot.
Yeah, I think it's pretty famous. Interestingly, I think it's kind of a predecessor to Robin's Dancing on My Own music video, which also features a lot of close-up. Robin's doing a little more in that. She's doing some angry dancing and things.
Right, it's a different vibe in that song. but similar ideas.
Similar ideas. So the big moments in this really are like it's her singing, and you can see the emotion on her face, which I think lends to the performance. Like she said, she does this emotional style of singing. And then the big moment is during the Flowers verse that she literally cries. She sheds, I think, 2 tears.
Yeah, she starts to tear up, and then you see him roll down the face a bit.
See him roll down the face, and so people at the time they're like, okay, that's some pretty good like acting there. That's some pretty fun. They put some water droplets in her eyes. No, she started thinking about her mom, and then
there's someone just off screen with a little water pistol shooting.
Fucking pew pew, sharp shoot in her face. But no, she's genuinely crying, and then she was like, "Oh no, I'm crying," and then she's like, "Fuck it, no, just use it and keep going."
Yeah, that's something I thought was interesting about her performance. Is like you can see she kind of alternates between looking at the camera and like down.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that gives a really that's effective. That's effective to me.
That is effective.
How did I describe it? Vulnerable. It feels vulnerable, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of this performance.
Yeah, I think a big part of the song, her version in general, is that
performance.
No, I don't think Prince sounded vulnerable in the demo there.
Yeah, not well. I mean, he didn't put the song out, so
that's he's too scared. He put it out, but hidden behind the family.
Hidden behind the family. True. Yeah. And then there's a few other shots of just her like walking through this park.
She's wearing this big coat. We can see some sad statues.
Yeah, there's a bunch of statues and trees and like bridges or whatever.
Yeah, and then the slickest move at the end. It's like music video as advertisement. They just superimpose the cover of her album over top of this Paris like park.
Is that her looking off to the side?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And that is the album cover. So.
Okay.
Pretty slick. But I think we got to move forward, Alex. Nothing more to say about this one. And we skip straight ahead to the year of our Lord, 2003. Let's talk about Me First. And I think it's a soft G on this, the Gimme Gimmes.
The Gimme Gimmes.
Let's get Me First and the Gimme Gimmes.
The Gimmes.
The Shama Shama. It's the punk rock supergroup cover band.
Yeah. We discussed a little while ago.
Yes, we did.
And I wrote down what song it was, and apparently
Good job, Alex.
I can't find it.
I could have done it. I coulda. I woulda. I shoulda.
I'd swear I did, but I can't find where I wrote it down.
Let's see if I can fucking search it up. They're on Rocket Man? Yes, Rocket Man.
Is that the one?
Rocket Man.
We talked about them.
We talked about them for Rocket Man.
That song as well.
Did we? It's only pulling up Rocket Man for me.
That's fine.
That and the song Gimme Shelter is what it pulls up when I put in Gimme.
I don't remember how I found the song. Anyway, doesn't matter. We've talked about them before.
Doesn't matter. We're talking about him. Fat Mike of NoFX, Joey Cape and Dave Ron of Lagwagon, Chris Shift Left of Foo Fighters and No Use for a Name, and Spike Slauson of I Forgot to Write the Band Down. So they're a punk rock supergroup. They do covers.
Is that the name of the band?
Is Me First and the Gimme Gimmes?
No.
No Use for a Name is the name of the band, yes.
Okay. All right.
And this is, listen, you know what a punk rock cover sounds like.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's, well, ska punk.
Ska punk.
Ska punk. Yeah, so they generally do fast versions. I wouldn't say this is particularly fast because of the ska bits,
right.
But it does speed up. They also condense it way down to 241 because they go fast.
Exactly.
So they got that heavy skank going. You kind of like the end of the verse doubles up on the kick, and then you get into the chorus, so it builds up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that sound.
A little bit of bass groove. Yeah, you open with a skank and vocals immediately. We don't get any of that like kind of space setting up that we do on the previous versions.
Yeah, it's right in, and then it's sort of the two sections of the more ska verse and then more straight. You know,
yeah, just driving chorus where it's like nothing
chorus,
compares to you. Just.
So I would say, like, if someone's like turned this song into ska punk, this is what I would think of.
Yeah,
It's
and
very,
I think like
functional.
it's very functional, and I think like the lyrics themselves is sad sap shit, which works with a lot of genres of punk.
Yeah.
Being a sad sack and playing punk rock are almost hand in hand, right?
Yeah. Or like basically the same thing.
Being the
just
one who
kidding.
got broken up with, like, yeah, that's punk
Yeah,
rock.
in this sort of like pop punky vein. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else is going on here? Because I feel like there's not a whole lot to say.
Not a whole lot to say. Did I like this version? Yeah.
Yeah, solid. The other thing I will say, there's a bit of like Sinead O'Connor influence, of course, because that's what they're covering.
Yeah.
They say "Every boy I see."
Oh, yeah.
Put my arms around every boy I see.
Very brave of them.
Very brave of them, yes. And there's a few times where he like gets close to that like yodel vocal crack.
He definitely imitates it on the line
thing.
where she yodels.
Even a little later on, like in the "Bird Without a Song" line, I noticed it.
Okay, yeah.
So it comes up like a couple times. It's not a ton, but there are a couple places.
Yeah. So yeah, they're playing it close to the original in that sense by doing these like vocal tributes. Of course, verse 2 a little more active than the first verse.
Yeah, it's classic stuff, man.
Classic stuff. It's classic. We get a "Come On Woo" after the Doctor verse, I think.
Because at that point, it's like all active, right? Because they go through, and then they go through the bridge. I think, not skanking, right?
Yeah, that's right. Because they do the chorus, and he says "Come on, woo," and then boom, straight into all the flowers, mama.
Yeah. So it's after a point they just sort of kick it out and then go through the rest. And I mean it's real rock punk rock stuff.
Yeah, ends on a bit of distortion. If you're like in a hurry, you need to listen to Nothing Compares to You, but you don't have 5 minutes, you're in luck.
Yeah.
But if you need to listen to a version of this song that's kind of like a bit fucked up and like stressful, why not Shiny Toy Guns in 2005?
Yes, this one, what did I think? This 2005, so it feels like a bit edgy in a 2005 way.
100%, yeah.
And it's like they're trying to depict it's like a Joker style, like fractured psyche.
Yeah, they got disturbed on their forehead or whatever. Broken? What is damaged? That's what it is.
Damaged.
The Suicide Squad movie.
Oh.
It's classic where he's all tatted up.
Yeah. Haven't seen that movie.
Yeah. So they're an American rock band from LA. I know the name. I don't know a single song by them.
Yeah, it sounds familiar, but I don't know why.
But I do think maybe they were occupying that like edgy, like rock needs to evolve to have laser percussion kind of vein of rock and roll.
Yeah, so I mean, they were described as a rock band in their Wikipedia page, but if you look at their individual pages, they're described as a member of new wave indie rock band Shiny Toy Guns. So
I did notice they sound exactly like the Cars.
Like the Cars, yeah. Honestly, this I don't know about new wave, but this is like dark electronic rock. Is my 3 words for this.
Yeah, it almost draws on like industrial and like
it does
grunge a bit,
and like it gets like sort of like choppy and screwy almost at times because they do a lot of vocal stuff because they do a lot of change ups in this, and that's kind of where I was getting that fractured psyche thing from.
Right.
So I find it hard to talk about. It's another one where there's a lot of things that happen. So I want to like describe them all. I'm like, I could go through this whole song and be like, yeah, they set up the beat. Then like they go a cappella and it's like quiet synth. And then the vocals get all distorted. But then they're like spoken word. And then like there's these like farty synths in there. Very aggressive farting too. And then like the like changing styles between lines. And like they're skipping this chorus because they skipped the first chorus. I'm just listing things, man. I'm only on the first chorus. So there's a lot of things happening. There's even animal noises at one point.
There's animal noises. Let's talk about those vocals for a minute.
Yeah, talk about the vocals.
Because it's interesting that even because there's stylistic changes, and then there's just changes in where her voice comes from.
Yeah.
Because it'll be that same style. It's been 15 days since you... And then as that line ends, the other one will start, but from a different... Like, it'll come from the right side instead of the left. So it's that idea of this, like, split psyche. Like, it feels like you're hearing the thoughts come into her head and collide and overlap.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to the like grungy, dirty, industrial bit where she's coming in a lot harsher and like screaming a bit.
Yeah.
Love
And then
a
after
lot.
that, she cuts way back down and like is just basically talking.
Yes.
So it's all over the place. And then it kind of in its back half picks up a bit. It gets this like, you know,
Yeah.
actual beat going, and then gallops along with that for most of the rest of it.
Yeah, there is an emphasis
yeah.
on the drums here for sure. They're mostly in the space, and then similar to her vocal track, they get altered and modified to be spookier, grungier, crunchier
Yeah.
at different points. Like, so yeah, it's a really like off kilter song, and it makes you feel like good for the person who left. I'm like, thank God they're out.
Yeah, really. Yeah, they're like the kind of psycho, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we talked
it feels
about the Joker.
like
We talked about the
spooky,
fractured
yeah.
psyche. And part of it feels a bit dated to me because this is 2005 and this is like exactly the era of time where I'm like, that's old fashioned. That's
Yeah,
part of my youth I don't want to revisit. But it's reasonably effective in that way.
yeah.
It's just that the aesthetic is maybe a bit unappealing to me because of my age.
That could be it. And there is like, it kind of draws on a similar idea of like, you know, the breakup is one, you're this soft, sad person. Also, two, you're kind of angry. And this one just
True.
bumps up the dial on anger a bit more.
More anger, for sure.
But yeah, it does have the feeling, like the modern day version of this is like your cinematic trailer version where it's like, ooh, it's dark, it's edgy. This isn't your granddad's Nothing Compares to You. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I think it's more effective than those because it actually has something going for it instead of just like, what do we do? Gunshot? All right. Like,
Yeah, it feels like they're coming at this genuinely rather than for
Yeah.
money. Like, oh, yeah, I'll
exactly.
say that for sure.
So way to go.
Yeah, very dynamic, very
STG.
much not like any other version we're going to hear today.
Yeah, very different. And yeah, it has an identity. So there you go.
Yeah, it's stressed me the fuck out. What didn't stress me out, though, was Aretha Franklin in 2014.
Nothing compares to you. Yeah. So lonely here without you. Like a
No, not a stressful version.
Not
Quite
a stressful version.
Another. So Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
Does she need an introduction?
Ladies and gentlemen, Aretha Franklin.
Very well-known singer. Kind of one of the all-time great singers.
Yeah, you want to talk about covers. You want to talk about greatest covers of all time. You want to talk about the number one
yeah.
song for Rolling Stone, 500 greatest songs of all time.
Of all time.
Aretha Franklin,
Aretha
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Find out what that means to her.
Respect. What does that mean? Listen to the song, you'll find out.
Listen to the song. Yeah, you'll find out. It's all laid out there.
But this version, so we talked about this album. This is 2014. She did an album of covers.
Yes, sings the great diva classics.
Great diva classics. Yeah, I didn't know that Sinead O'Connor was considered a diva, but I guess anytime you are a female performer who sometimes disagrees with other people, you're probably considered a diva.
I think they mean it more in a like performance quality rather than diva in the sense of like her disposition.
Yeah, but like probably was referred to in that way.
Probably for sure.
Oops.
But we talked about Rolling in the Deep.
Yeah, we talked
previously
about
for
Rolling in
this,
the Deep.
which was kind of fine. But this song, produced by none other than Outkast rapper Andre 3000.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I didn't see that credit.
That is, so Aretha covered this for her 2014 album, Aretha Franklin Sings the Great Diva Classics. Her version was produced by Andre 3000, who gives it a classic jazz feel. Aretha's longtime collaborator, Clive Davis, had known the Outkast rapper since he was 17, and that friendship led to his involvement. Quote, he said his dream is to produce a cut or two for the great Aretha Franklin, said
And
Davis.
he did.
And he did.
And yeah, this is a real like jazzy, active version.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's sort of like that big band jazz sound. Got a lot of those horn stings and piano chords, and they're going, you know?
Yes. This would play well in a fancy restaurant.
This would play well in a fancy restaurant. Now, almost a little too fast for that, but
maybe, yeah.
I'll eat to this, but
I'll
maybe
eat to this.
some people would be more picky about that. I don't know.
But yeah, your whoa 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 whoas are put on brass. It's sharp. It's right into it. We're playing the notes. That piano is dancing on this one, man. It's fucking going all over the place.
Yeah, and she's moving too. Like she clears through some lyrics like pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then there's an extended solo section in the middle. Where she does some like scatting, and I was wondering because she was going through it so fast. I was like, "How is this song still?" 4
you're like,
minutes and
holy
20 seconds
shit!
long?
Yeah, like we've only shaved a minute, but
Yeah.
she's moving at like light speed.
Yeah, but it's because of the solos, of course.
Yeah.
So that happens, and then kind of gets into the bridge like halfway through, and the outro is quite long as well.
Yes.
That's how it
and
happens.
that outro's quite fun. But yeah, she's got a good vocal performance on this. She sounds like she could be fucking 23 on this herself. Like she's doing great.
Yeah.
She does. Here's the weird thing though. She gets and maybe because she's just having too much fun singing this. She gets to the doctor verse, and she's like, the doctor said, "Aretha, girl, you better have fun." She doesn't call him a fool though.
Oh,
No, she just rips right into the "Nothing Compares to You."
she just says nothing. Yeah, okay. She's like, yeah, all right, I'll have fun. Because I mean, hey, she's however old she was. This is her later years.
This is like she dies
She's
the
like, yeah.
same year or shortly after.
This is within like 5 years.
Yeah.
This. I don't remember exactly when, but this version, yeah.
Okay,
very
2018.
accurate.
She dies 4 years later.
4 years later. Okay. This isn't like recorded from her deathbed or anything like that.
She's giving this energetic performance from
Like,
a hospital.
that is a hell of a performance.
like she's a damn showgirl to the end.
Yeah. And then at the end, the other thing she does, well, a few things. I like the outro, kind of as like get more horns in there.
Yeah, could have
and
done without the
backup
scatting
vocals.
on this, but I understand the genre.
Yeah,
fine.
I get it. Everything kind of like is rising up and like starts to blend together. So
Yeah.
it really feels like, I mean, this is the ending of the album. It's very like climactic.
Oh yeah.
Then she starts to list things that don't compare to you.
Oh yeah. This is great.
So we get strawberry sundaes,
Sundays.
ham hocks and greens.
Yes.
Her roller skates. Those are the ones I got. Were there more?
I love my garlic toast, but
Oh.
nothing compares to you.
Garlic toast, but it's not quite as good as you.
I love that a
Garlic
majority of it
toast.
is food.
I mean, garlic toast, man. It's good stuff.
I mean, yeah, she's talking to the common people here. Strawberry sundaes, ham hocks and greens,
Ham
roller
hocks?
skates and garlic toast, very accessible. And this is like
yeah.
Aretha Franklin could have been like caviar, fucking having sex on yachts, and all this doesn't compare to you. But she
Man,
hits us with just the
yacht
classics.
sex just isn't the same without you. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. So this version's very fun. I love that she lists off. I think that's a good bit, although maybe a bit food emphasis, but like still, it's good. It plays. We do lose the weight of it, but we clearly love the song. I think the composition's good.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get let's do some CanCon though. Let's talk about Deep Wave, which is
Yes.
also Luke McMaster, who's part of Deep Wave. So
Yeah,
I don't know
and
why
Luke
he's listed
McMaster,
separately.
which there's two members in this group, and only one of them got a solo credit for some reason.
Yeah. So this is the year 2019.
Nothing compares. Nothing compares to you. No, no.
And this version is like kind of your like gentle synth, a little bit R&B inspired, but through a 2019 lens rather than a 1990s lens.
Did you mention the other guy in Deep
No,
Wave?
who's the other guy?
Aaron Arun Chaturvedi?
Chattervetti.
I just got that from their Facebook page.
Okay.
I forgot to check where they're from though. They're Canadian, eh?
Toronto based.
Toronto based.
I think that's what it said on their title page. Shout out to
Okay, I didn't look at that. I just looked at their Facebook page, which says Deep Wave is the production team of Luke McMaster and Aaron Chaturvedi.
Chattervetti.
They have
maybe I
written and
found it somewhere
record.
else. Oh, I might have looked at it on Spotify instead, because I have access to my Spotify account.
The Enemy? I still use Spotify.
I don't pay him for it, I'll tell you that. I don't listen to music on it.
Don't.
I know, you have two fucking music streaming services you don't pay for either, Alex.
Yeah.
If you're wondering who the 1% is, folks, every
Right.
week on the show, you're listening to them.
Right here.
Right here, baby. This version, so yeah, we open with a little synth, a little setting up a bit of that like fuck jam vibe, but it doesn't really deliver on that. It's more like indie soft baby with a filter
I
on the
wouldn't
vocals.
even know how to identify a fuck jam vibe.
Try fucking to it is.
Yeah, I guess I gotta take it.
When I say fuck jam, I mean like 1990s R&B.
Oh, okay, all right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they set up this electronic soundscape, and it's like a real glassy synth, and they got those like vocal sounds, like you mentioned. And then, so it's mostly just those like very filtered vocals doing this like real close mic thing. So that's kind of their take on the ballad is close mic, but it's also like their production team.
Yeah.
So like it's very processed.
Very
vocals.
processed. I think the guy can sing.
Yeah,
I don't know which one of them is doing
when
it.
I say processed, I don't even mean like auto-tuned. I just mean like the filter's very obvious.
But what I'm saying is, I think they should take the filters off.
Oh yeah.
Let the man sing.
Yeah.
Or like do some of the filters at the start here, because they got some fun filter stuff. There's some moments like later in the song where you can hear him starting to let go and really let the pipes do some work, but the filters are holding him back. Give me the full on. Give it all to me, baby. Let loose.
Yeah, they really keep it very subdued because of how they do the vocals.
Yeah, how they do those vocals.
And it could reach some heights, I think.
I think so too.
Most of what they do in terms of like build is once it gets to they add more instruments and like more like kick drum hits to get some.
Yeah, and these like finger snaps that they combine with like cymbal or something. It's a very fun like so you get the snap and you get the like, and they combine together. I thought that was very cool.
Okay, good sound. Yeah, there's a lot of sounds. I mean, they're production team, so the sounds are kind of more of the focus.
Yeah,
sound design. The other thing,
but do they come together, bro? That's the question.
Do they come
what
together?
Else do they do?
The two of them,
yeah,
to make this. I don't know. I guess he probably is he singing. That's why he has a separate credit on this.
Maybe, I don't know, or if he just like has solo stuff, and then sometimes the title just lists them.
Right, just shows both. The chorus.
Yes.
It gets like trappy. They get like the trap cymbal.
Yes, the trap drums come in.
And then like a harp sound.
Mm-hmm.
Fast harp.
Big
That's the
harp
other sound
action,
on this.
yeah.
There's a piano. So once you get to that, there's a piano that comes in on the later verse.
Yeah.
Man, what else? It's chill, man. It's like
it's like a
wave.
Deep wave, more like a chill wave, baby.
Like a chill wave. Close mic electronic version. That's what's going on here. With R&B, I think is the right lens to
like root or lens. Like it's definitely affected this piece, but it's not the main like end result.
What I was not a huge fan of
Mm-hmm.
was the end.
Yeah, what goes on in this end here?
Fade-
Right, it just leaves. It just exits. It's like, it's very strange.
And like the beat keeps rolling, but it fades out. I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't love it. I don't love it. But honestly, it's decent otherwise.
Yeah, it's not bad for being what it is. I think they could make it better, but I think they had some good little beats here. I think it's not a bad production job.
That's what they're here for.
But Alex, is it the best, worst, or fanciest version? Let's find out.
Fanciest. Oh my gosh.
That's right, baby. Which one could you play in a fancy restaurant is our wild card category today. We have 3 categories. It's our final verdicts. Let me do the preamble here. We got 3 categories. The worst version, the best version, the version playing in a fancy restaurant. Alex, what's the worst version of this?
What's the worst version of this? I didn't hate any of these versions or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I also am a little unclear on which we would consider covers. But so I'm going to say the weakest version is probably the family version.
Fair enough. I
which
say
could be considered the original, which sometimes is
Yeah.
exempt from this. But given current circumstances, I wouldn't consider any of them exempt necessarily. Except maybe the Prince demo, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, even that, it's like nobody knew it was around until it's a very strange scenario this week. But I tend to agree with you. I think Shiny Toy Guns isn't winning an award for me, but just because they had a take I disagree with doesn't mean it was a bad version.
Yeah.
it was just like, it's its own strange, weird thing. And I'm happy it exists. But yeah, The Family is the one that feels like it's a bit trapped and like couldn't find its own identity. Every other one here feels very distinct to me, and like everybody landed at least. You know, maybe they didn't fucking get a 10 out of 10,
but like they gave us their take, and it's just it's a take. It's a valid.
A lot
take.
of solid takes. So yeah, I do think it has to go to The Family. For
even The Family is kind of a valid take. It just doesn't do as much with it, and like you said, feels a little more constrained.
Yeah, it feels to me like there's a little stuff in the background going on there that maybe choked the version. Best version, I'll go quick here. Sinead O'Connor. Nothing compares to that version.
It's hard to not give it to that one. I would say that.
I mean, it's quite large in its scope and what it has achieved.
I also really enjoyed the Prince version. I'm not going to give it to that because that doesn't count. You can't be the best cover if you're not a cover.
I never said best cover, Alex. I said
true.
Best version.
That's true.
You can
but
pick
I always
you want.
Ignore the original.
I know you do. I know you ignore the very premise of this show.
I'm just doing my own thing, man.
Oh, I know.
Just making it up, even if there's a rule. But no, I think it definitely has to go to Sinead O'Connor. Because how could it not? I don't know.
How could it not?
How could it not?
And yeah, it's how could it not? I mean, yeah. Aretha Franklin's pretty fun. Deep Wave hits a good vibe. And the Prince original's got a lot going for it, but it's Sinead O'Connor. Come on, people. Come on. Alex, you're eating your dinner in a fancy restaurant. You've hacked into their Spotify playlist. What are you throwing on? Nothing compares to you.
Nothing compares to you. Fancy restaurant. I mean, I feel like if I hadn't hacked in, the most likely one to play would be Deep Wave. Yeah.
I think that would be a real restaurant, like,
but I'm
familiar enough.
I'm hacking in, so I'm playing Shiny Toy Guns. Because I'm a hacker,
the restaurant
and that's the hackinest version of them all.
That's right. That one
makes me feel like I've got a hoodie and also fingerless gloves.
That's right. They look at their like Spotify. There's a skull on the screen now. Oh no, he's in.
He's in. And skull turns green.
Our playlist has been hacked.
Yeah, that's the one for me.
Solid choice, Alex. Solid. Great choice. I'm gonna go with the little me first and the gimme gimmes. You know, I'm hacking in. I want to be in and out. People will just maybe kind of blink and miss it, but I still get a little nothing compares to you in there.
Gotta move, man.
I'm upsetting the mainstream, the upper class, the bourgeoisie, but so quickly they don't even notice. It's like in Fight Club when they cut in a little ding dong into the film footage.
Cutting in a little ding dong.
And that is our final verdict. If you've got a similar opinion, different opinion, want to talk to us about a version we didn't talk about, hit us up on Twitter, #CoverMePod, @JakeTheCressy, @SomeAlexWiseGuy. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, suggestions for future episodes. You can also email those to us at covermepod@gmail.com. Talk to us there. Be sure to rate and review us. We are on Google Podcasts. I almost said Stitcher. Stitcher's dead. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, fucking Podbean. We're on Podbean. That's our guy. We're on Podbean. We're also on Spotify. If you're there, you can see us there. Rate and review us. Tell your friends, family, neighbors, loved ones about us, what you can do this week. I came up with this just now. It's a very original idea. But if you're at you're working at an old movie, old theater, you guys are running some film, maybe just splice in some images of Cover Me every couple, every 10 minutes or something, just a single frame. And then, a little subliminal marketing this week. That's what you can do for us. Get out there. Cause this is a little Project Mayhem for you guys.
Cause a little mayhem.
A little fucking mayhem out there.
Project Mayhem was what we learned from the movie Fight Club.
That's right.
That's what they were trying to tell us.
If there's anything we know after Blockbuster Summers, we're both very smart and know how to interpret films, and the message from Fight Club was do a Project Mayhem. Yeah. But that does it for today's episode of Cover Me. And as we always say on Cover Me, I went to the doctor and guess what he told me? He said, "Girl, you better listen to Cover Me no matter what you do."